Hello and welcome to my little avionics video on Nav radios. We're in the Cheyenne here at UAA. We've got the horizontal situation indicator. Remember, this will point to my magnetic heading. And the RMI, the radio magnetic indicator, again, this is pointing to magnetic heading with navigation needles on the RMI that can be either VOR or ADF. VOR, and you can't really see it, but the other side is ADF, just like this. These little push buttons select. So right now the number 1 needle is on VOR. Push it in. Now the number 1 needle is giving me ADF information. Same thing with what we call the number 2 needle. And again, the number 1 will just be on the number 1 radio, the number 2 on the number 2 radio. Let's go over here to our radio panel. I've got the number 1, Nav 1. I've got Nav 2. All the way on the end, I've got my ADF. These are the radios I can tune. The HSI shows Nav 1. And then down here, we have another CDI, and this will show what's on Nav 2. When we say shows what's on there, as I tune to the station, it will start working. So let's go ahead. You can see we're not tuned to a station. I have a nav flag, which means I'm not getting valid navigation data. So nothing about the needle is of any use to us. Let's go tune to 111 megahertz. I tune Nav 1 to 111. We notice the nav flag is gone. I notice my RMI, my number 1, VOR, is pointing somewhere, and I can figure out where the VOR is. As I turn my course knob, I've got an airplane like a pointer, and this is my to from. Right now that's on from because that's the airplane. Flip it around. Slowly turn it over. And as I get in line, hopefully, there we go, you'll see this deviation indicator bar comes over. And when I get it centered, so that VOR station is on a magnetic bearing of 180. Now I am at, what am I at, 345. So my relative bearing is 345 minus 18. My relative bearing to him is about 100 and, 65 or 55, whatever it is, the math. It's a compass heading of 180. If I want to go to that VOR station, I have to fly 180. My RMI is showing me the same thing, so it kind of makes sense. Let's look to see what ADF can do for us. Go over here to the ADF. Let's tune to a local station, broadcast station, 550, and my ADF is on antenna. So I can hear the audio. If I go up here, ADF, let's go to speaker. So I can listen to the radio. Let's see what happens when I'm on antenna. If I go to ADF, notice both needles stay over here right around 250. That's called parked. That's an indication we have nothing going on, no usable data. Now let me go switch the signal over to ADF. So that transmitter that's on 550 megahertz is at this magnetic bearing behind the airplane. And I can still listen to the audio. So that was VOR and ADF. Let's take a look and see what happens with instrument landing system. Let's go put our RMI back on our VOR signals. We'll just put the number 1 because the number 2 nav radio isn't really working. So we'll leave the number 2 on ADF. And in fact, right now we could get a pretty good position fix of where we are. We would just have to find out exactly where that VOR station is on the chart and draw a line. and exactly where the ADF station is and the physical antenna and draw a line. But let's take a look at instrument landing, ILS. So I'm going to tune to an ILS freak. I've gone to ILS. Notice my to from needle has disappeared. There's no to from. It's instrument landing. I'm flying to. I'm supposed to be lined up with the runway. And as I turn this course needle around, what would happen is, if I was actually lined up with the runway when I'm exactly lined up, the needle will center. When the needle is to the left, that means I need to turn left. I have to fly left. When the needle's to the right, I have to fly right. And that's pretty much ILS and how that'll work. Notice our VOR, when I went to ILS, our VOR just parked. That is just because we're not picking up VOR anymore, we're picking up ILS. Remember, this same radio picks up VOR signals and ILS signals. Completely different ground transmitters, two separate systems. They happen to get processed in the same radio in the airplanes, and they happen to be displayed on the same displays, but they are separate systems. Alright, and the last part we're going to talk about is glide slope. Now, I'm not lined up on the runway, so I can't pick up Merrill Field's glide slope, but I have a little glide slope tester in the airplane, and I've tuned the radio to that signal. I turn the tester on. You'll notice the glide slope flag here. Glide slope off. I still get a nav flag. Turn the glide slope on, and here I get my little indicator that I'm dead on. Let's take the tester and let's go up. This would be an indicator that my airplane is low and I need to fly up. Airplane is high, I need to fly down. Another instrument which gets this signal is the artificial horizon. Notice there on the left, the little green bar. Up. Oh, I'm pretty low, I've got to fly up. I'm pretty high, I've got to fly down. Well, that's about it for our video. Just trying to cover a little bit of the switches and knobs and indicators of Nav radio systems. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, bye.